diversity, and then you'll be putting that information into the Excel table that we put together for you. It'll calculate the Shannon Weiner index, and then we're going to have some questions about the differences in the vegetation from the transects in phase 1 of the restoration work and phase 2. And what we're hoping is that this information is going to be useful for the Hermits Peak Watershed Alliance as this restoration work is ongoing. And we really want you guys to do a presentation at the end, and hopefully Amina and Shantini and Annabella and others can join us. But I think Shantini's going to explain a couple of things now about the differences. And
actually,
Annabella's going to explain. Okay.
How do you tell different species apart?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
I'm just going to take this off. So here we had this swerve species. I'm just going to clip a little piece of it. Oh, it looks like the same as this one actually. But as I said before, grasses don't usually have leaves coming off. So you're going to look at the differences in leaves and the sizes and the shapes of the leaves, and that'll help a lot. Sometimes they're a lot different in thickness. So these are just kind of a different, the things that we might see in this area, I guess. So it's an easy way to tell the difference, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then obviously you have your grass species, and that looks really different from the rest of them. See, nothing's coming off of it. Even though on this one nothing is coming off, you can just kind of see from the basic shape of the leaf compared to a grass blade, it's really different. So that's the best way to distinguish, I would say. And I'll try to look around for some more stuff too, in case if there's anything else. But,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do now is we have the 4 transects figured out. We have everyone either on the GoPros or the tablets. We're going to have the 2 groups that are working in phase 1 work here with me, and then the 2 groups 3 and 4 are going to go with Shantini and Annabella. Okay, and then she's going to work her way back with the photo. Okay, great. And then Amina's going to be the star of the show, and she's going to work with Catherine on talking about the restoration work in more detail and why HPWA is really interested in this work, what it means for vegetation and riparian structure and for the aquatic life uses and other uses that people have. And she'll also talk about not only why this is important, but why it's continuing.
So should I do that now before we start splitting up just a little bit?
No, I think what we're going to do is, oh yeah, you can do that now so that everybody could hear.
Yeah, just so everybody can hear.
Sure, and then you guys are going to be walking the length of the 4 transects.
Okay, awesome. So you guys are learning a monitoring technique for watershed restoration, but it's so easy to sort of get into all the details, and you're in the dirt and you're looking at plants, and I just want to have a backup moment and say, so what? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose behind your monitoring technique? And so that's kind of where the Hermits Peak Watershed Alliance has been active restoring this creek from the bridge all the way down to Prince Street. And this is part of the rewinding of the Gainas phase 1. And you guys just saw that this transect has a bunch of awesome vegetation along it. What you'll see downstream is an area where we had the dozers in the creek. It's bare, it's denuded.
You'll see it.
We had to rewind the creek. That means we had bare dirt, and that's what this looked like in 2019. So you guys get to see not only a restored reach here, but you're gonna go downstream and see a lot of bare dirt, and those are gonna be the easy transects, by the way. Bare dirt, bare dirt.
Although there's a lot of woody vegetation that we were tramping through earlier today.
Very good. But so what's the story we're trying to track? We're trying to track the function of the river. This river was straightened by a dozer in the 70s, and they called that river restoration. They did it, the Army Corps of Engineers did it. They called it river restoration, they straightened it, and then also over time we've said, look at all this messy vegetation, it's getting in the way. We've denuded all the riparian. We have cut the trees and straightened the creek. And now Hermits Peak Watershed Alliance is trying to put the crooked back in the creek. Well, why do we need that? Because that allows for all the diversity, all the woody vegetation to become established, the meandering creek to have pools big enough for the fish to live in. The ecosystem function is what we're trying to put back in this creek. But we'll never be able to restore it to the meandering creek that it was historically, a mile wide. We also divert all the water to Story Lake now for the city's water supply. We have an altered potential, but we're trying to restore it to the best that it can be here. So the story that you guys are going to be tracking, and the so what, is going to be a story that shows bare soil from a restoration project turn into forbs, willows, cottonwood trees. And so the data that you guys are collecting is going to show that this restoration was successful over time. So that we don't just come in here like they did in the 70s and say, well, this place is crooked, let's just straighten it out and call it fixed. Let's think about what is fixed, what's ecological function, and what's our purpose and goal. And our goal here is to restore the river, but also to connect the community back to this river, because this river is the community's. So we remind people to come fishing here, and then they fall in love with the meander of a creek. They don't know that it's these technical terms, but that's that function. So that's why we're here, and thank you for your time and your monitoring today. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Amina. I think that was a great overview of why we wanted to do these labs and have you guys involved and, you know, look at this data and be able to present it so that it can be useful for such great groups like the Hermits Creek Watershed Alliance and the restoration work that they've really invested in with the State Environment Department, Surface Water Quality Bureau, community members, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency, Region 6 out of Dallas, Texas. So this is a really big kind of group effort, and we're really excited about how things have gone thus far and how you guys can be part of, you know, the story and helping us see how things are working with the restoration work. So I think what we'll do now is we're going to go ahead and break you guys up into your groups. And remember, we told you guys, and it's in the PowerPoint, which group you're in. So and what we did was we laid out 4 transects, 2 in phase 1, 2 in phase 2. They're 60 meters in length, which is almost 200 feet. I always have to convert because I grew up with meters, with the metric system. So 60 meters is roughly 180, you know, 190 feet. So at every 10 meters, a quadrat is going to be placed, and the vegetation the vegetation composition and diversity is going to be done. Now we know because this is a 2-hour lab, we're not going to be able to do it all. So that's why Annabella is going to be helping us take pictures so that we have 6 quadrat pictures for each transect that you guys will be working in your groups to analyze over the next few labs. So, so again, group 1, if we could have Marshall here, great. And group 2,